Hi, welcome to the Bulwark. I'm Andrew Egger, White House correspondent. A few years ago, Donald Trump, not so hot on cryptocurrency. He said, "I think Bitcoin's a bit of a scam," is something he said back in 2021. He dinged it for trying to compete with the good old U.S. dollar. Lately, things are a little different. Donald Trump's gone a little bit crypto crazy. He is bananas for the blockchain now. We've had some fun in recent weeks talking a lot about his new NFT collection, his Trump digital trading cards, which have been such a remarkable success for him. He's put out a few batches of those by now. He's talking to a lot of crypto guys, talking himself up as quote unquote the first crypto president.
They call me the crypto president. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of people are saying that.
Although he doesn't even really seem to know what he means when he says that. He's seemingly getting ready to go even deeper into that space because reportedly he's throwing his endorsement behind a new crypto company called World Liberty Financial. I say reportedly, but he's tweeting about it. His sons are involved with running the thing. So there's this new enterprise. Nobody's exactly sure what it looks like, but basic premise seems to be basically he's trying to do for crypto markets what he's already done for social media with his website Truth Social, which is he's trying to make a place where his fans can do a certain piece of their business in his kind of playground for it because they're his fans and he wants them to do that. So I wrote about some of this stuff in our Morning Shots newsletter this morning, but I am a political reporter. I'm way out over my skis on all this stuff. So fortunately, I've got somebody here who can break it all down for us a little bit more ably than I can, and that is Sam Kessler, who is deputy managing editor for the crypto news site CoinDesk. So Sam, thanks for coming on to chat with us for a bit.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be
so
here.
You have been doing a lot of really good reporting. I was reading a lot of your really good reporting as I was writing about some of this stuff last night about this new World Liberty Financial business, let's say that a lot of Trump associates and Trump are throwing their weight behind. Can you just tell us a little bit about what this thing is, when we started hearing about it, and then just some of the reporting that you guys have gotten about what it's actually going to look like as a business?
Yeah, I think you gave the correct context earlier where, Trump was not pro crypto a while back. He said Bitcoin was based on thin air. That's a quote that still gets thrown, at his face now that he is doing this sort of embrace of the technology. So you ask when this new World Liberty Financial thing came about. I'd say it was around like a month or two ago. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but that was when not Donald Trump, but his son, Don Jr., and I think Eric also had tweeted things about it. But they kind of teased this thing that was coming. It was going to involve decentralized finance, which are basically just like financial tools that live on blockchains as a way to kind of like wrestle power away from banks and financial institutions. We can or can't talk about, exactly what that all is. It gets complicated, but at a high level, the whole idea is to democratize access to blockchain finance. Started hearing about it a couple of months ago, and then my great team and I were able to break some news this week about a white paper for this World Liberty Financial, which is this thing, like I said, that's backed by the Trump sons and essentially Trump himself. Even Barron Trump is listed as like a DeFi visionary. And we can talk about what it does, what it doesn't do. But based on this draft white paper, it seems like the sort of thing where you can kind of upload your crypto into it and then earn interest. None of the terms I'm using are scientific. None of this is scientific, but that's essentially what it lets you do.
Basically, all that's going to happen here is I kind of bump up against these things, and I'm like, well, it sure seems like this is what's going on, and I'm curious whether it's a fair reading or not, because I mean, obviously this whole ecosystem is such a Wild West thing right now. Scams are rampant, misuse is rampant. At the same time, some of the technologies are undeniably like cool and interesting, and there's been a lot of work done to see whether useful applications for a lot of this stuff. When I was reading kind of your breakdown of that white paper of what Trump and his associates want this thing to do, in my kind of lay view, it sure seemed like it was a little bit more of the kind of the former thing. It seems like some of the associates of the Trump people, the people who are actually kind of putting this platform together for them, who are in this space, were previously involved with a different failed blockchain app, I don't know exactly what term you'd use to describe.
It was hacked, and I think it might actually still be running, but that's the key thing. It was hacked in July.
So what seems to have kind of happened, and again, correct me if I'm way off base here, but it kind of seems like you have this app that is floundering, it's kind of dead in the water in some respects, and now you have essentially them moving into this new space where the target is not anymore just kind of crypto consumers writ large, but they're trying to kind of sell the same service that is largely kind of floundering to Trump people. They're giving it kind of this MAGA facelift. They're getting Trump and his family on board to kind of be the face of that. But essentially, it's kind of the same product that has already kind of run into some trouble when it's been on the market in the past.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple caveats. The main one being that the thing that I reviewed is a quote unquote draft. I've talked to a lot of folks about this, and it does seem clear to me that they haven't figured out exactly what Trump's thing is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if small elements of it change later on. But the key thing here is that early code for Trump's World Liberty Financial, as well as the white paper we reviewed, as well as many team members, including one who, one detail that we had in our story, he also registered the LLC for a Date Hotter Girls LLC. These people were behind something called Doe Finance, which is it was actually pretty small. It was kind of like in the corner of the crypto world, this thing that operated for a short amount of time, and in July was hacked for around $2 million. Trump's thing bears some resemblance to Doe Finance, which frankly, on its face, I don't think is the most egregious thing in the world. If Doe Finance worked, it would have just been a sort of platform that lived on top of something called Aave, it soon gets complicated, but Aave is a very popular lending market that lets you lend and borrow cryptocurrencies, just like you would lend and borrow, say, US dollars with a traditional US legacy financial institution. They're building something that sort of is like a reskin of this Aave thing, which is within crypto world pretty credible. And they're just trying to make these crypto finance tools more accessible to a broader audience of people. They just are essentially creating a better user interface for it. And if it works, it works. But there are some problems with what Trump's building. If I can go a little bit here into that, one of the key things is we released something today about how in the draft white paper, around 70% of the token that Trump is going to release that's tied to this crypto project, it's the WLFI token. That's the ticker. It's World Liberty Finance or Financial. 70% of those tokens are going to go to the team, and 30% are going to be sold in a pre-sale. There's a lot of history that listeners can kind of viewers can look up after this about like what a crypto pre-sale is. You can look up ICOs, which are like the IPOs, initial public offerings for crypto, where you're selling a token instead of a stock. But the key thing in crypto world, if you didn't listen to anything that I've just been saying, if that was all complicated, the key thing in crypto world is that crypto people do not want you to look at crypto tokens like stocks. The reasons get complex, but basically it's that the regulators, the regulatory authorities that oversee stocks, the Securities and Exchange Commission, have pretty arduous requirements for a person who's trying to register a stock. And today, those rules don't always apply. It's kind of vague. They don't always apply to crypto tokens. But when you sell your tokens in the manner that it seems like Trump's organization, or I shouldn't say not the Trump organization, but this organization, World Liberty Financial, plans to sell them, where 70% of those tokens go to the team, and another 30% of proceeds from the sale also go to the team. If you plan to do that without getting into all of it, that starts to look a little bit more like one of these ICOs, one of these IPO-like stock offerings. That's not necessarily going to be the overall opinion, depending on whom you ask, but they've tried to do things to make it not like a stock. And I realize I'm maybe confusing things here for people, but that is some of the nuance going on here in crypto world, where people are actually worried about what Trump is doing, even Trump supporters, because of this really large insider ownership share, because of this pre-sale mechanism that resembles some of these projects that have gotten sued by the government in the past. I'll pause there. I'm sure that opens up millions of questions. But
no, well, this is why I need you on, right? Because I mean, the minute I take the lid off of this whole crypto world, all these terms just start kind of like snaking up out of the abyss, and I have to pop that lid back on real quick. But no, so I mean, for me, this again, have not spent a lot of time in the crypto space, but I have spent a lot of time in recent years looking at this kind of whole cottage industry of different kind of like parallel products that have sprung up in a lot of different areas. Some more connected to Trump, some less, but very frequently in kind of like this sort of alt conservative space, or just kind of like alt space in general, of products that are kind of geared toward doing a kind of thing that a more mainstream product does, but that in some respect is supposed to be more appealing to conservatives or MAGA people, or people who really like free speech, or just some people have some kind of problem with like the sort of the mainstream way. And to your point earlier, you kind of alluded to, I don't think I brought it up yet, but some of the people that Trump has brought on for this project, another one of their earlier sort of non crypto related products was kind of trying to stand up a extra free speechy version of Patreon and OnlyFans, right? I mean, it's kind of a similar thing in this space, and I think that obviously Trump appeals to a lot of those people for kind of obvious reasons, but also there's the whole element for Trump himself, where I mean, I personally, maybe you disagree, I personally don't think it goes too far to call some of his previous ventures in this space essentially just scammy. I mean, essentially just kind of trying to vacuum up some low-hanging supporter cash with his digital trading cards and things like that. I guess one thing I wanted to ask about is that the first reason all this stuff came to my attention, again, you guys have been reporting about it for days. But last night there was a little bit of a blip in this whole thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because there's been all this speculation. These Trump and his family members have been saying, hey, be on the lookout for this thing, it's coming. And then last night there were some tweets out from a couple of Trump family members, Lara Trump and Tiffany Trump, that were basically saying, hey, it's here, like good news, the token's arrived, we've got World Liberties is here, and here is the token that you should go and buy. Here's the token that is that's connected to this whole project. And then it quickly came out. Eric Trump tweeted, no, Tiffany and Lara Trump are not actually endorsing this thing. Their accounts were hacked. This is not our product. This is some scam. So can you just tell me a little bit about how that all fits into the whole thing?
Yeah. It sort of runs parallel to all the other stuff we're talking about, which is the, actual substance of what Trump is building. This other thing that's going on is crypto projects generally have this problem where a person can create a crypto token, then create a Twitter account, or, hack a Twitter account, or, create a Twitter account that looks like another Twitter account, and then promote their crypto token that looks very similar to your crypto token. And that's essentially what happened here. So the, members of the Trump family were hacked. And the hack came after news was starting to spill out about what this Trump crypto coin is going to be. There's been a ton of appetite for it from speculators, like Trump, hate Trump. A lot of people think that this thing, almost like the GameStop meme frenzy, could just like blow up, if only because of name recognition. And so a lot of people, at least these scammers would hope that a lot of people will jump on without really thinking twice about it, and, click through their software and buy either their fake version of the token that they can, rug pull, and, essentially they would buy your token, and then they would it's a kind of scam that's as old as crypto itself, where you buy a token, but somebody owns most of the supply of the token. You pump up the price of the token by getting other people to buy your token, and then you dump 80% of the token on the market because you own 80% of it. That might be what was happening here. You also have versions where it's just malicious links, phishing scams, the kind that you get to your email inbox about some print somewhere that you need to help with your bank account. Like, you could just click on something, connect your crypto wallet, and then think that you're buying Trump's crypto token, but really you're giving them access to all of your crypto tokens. This is a problem that's not necessarily unique to crypto, because scams happen everywhere, but it's something that crypto is uniquely vulnerable to, because everything lives online. People don't always have the best, aren't always the most sanitary in terms of how they manage their digital keys that might control millions of dollars, and it's a whole thing. But I don't necessarily blame the Trumps for this, although in every case like this, the family itself, just like any crypto company, can put precautions in place to kind of warn people on their own official accounts in the days leading up to a launch, like, hey, only trust news coming from this source, only trust links coming from this domain, and so on. But this is a risk that you run as a person running for president and then launching a venture in a space that is rife with these sorts of security problems.
Yeah, and it did seem like they moved, as quickly as they could have been expected to. Yeah. I mean, like it seemed like minutes after Lara Trump's tweet was up, Eric Trump was also tweeting like, "Hey, watch it, hold your horses," and Twitter locked it down pretty fast too. So I mean, when I don't know how to read these websites very well, but it kind of seemed like there was a spike in the price, some money changed hands, but they seemed to clamp it down pretty quick. I'm really struck by just kind of what you're talking about just kind of the endemic problems for this kind of thing in the industry, because it always just seems like so much of what's happening in kind of the crypto space is everything else that's happening in kind of like our online discourse and our online lives, only more so taken up to a kind of supercharged degree, because it's all online, because it's all this kind of like pure kind of extrinsic property of this.
And it's immediate.
Social
it's like
consensus that this stuff's worth something.
Seeing prices go up, it's immediate. Like dopamine rushes. Seeing prices go up, seeing prices go down, seeing new narratives form. It's a crazy sort of Wild West. And there's so much kind of synergy. Like it's almost surprising that it took this long for Trump to kind of come along on so much of this stuff, because there's this sort of democratic element to it. There's a huge anti-elite kind of ideological push for a lot of this stuff, and then there's just all of the kind of carnival barkery stuff with the salesmanship and the I don't know what all. I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's I don't even know really what to say. I guess my kind of cynical view, and so this is where I do want you to push back if this is wrong, because I'm looking at this thing, like the thing that happened last night, obviously a scam, like just a straight up scam. You've got these people who are like trying to scalp a few bucks from Trump supporters because they like Donald Trump and they have dollar signs in their eyes that they might get rich off crypto, and Donald Trump will help them to do that. And then on the other hand, we have this project, which may end up being, there are concerns for thinking it could be a reskin version of this earlier project, and with this unbelievably kind of like self-dealing structure for how the coin's going to be distributed. That's what this is starting to shape up look like from Trump himself. So like I look at that and I say, okay, that's not an open and shut scam like the other one, but it also kind of looks like Donald Trump trying to scalp a few bucks from Trump supporters with dollar signs in their eyes who think they're going to strike it rich off of crypto. Like to me, it's hard to tease out. Like the one is an obvious scam and the other is like arguably a scam, but like there's a lot of similarities between. So like if that is, I would love to know what the steelman case for this thing is in the face of that kind of cynical take from me. Yeah, well, so I'm a crypto reporter. I like reporting on this space because, I see technology as an amoral sort of a thing. Just like when the internet came about, it was seen as this super democratizing free speech force. Bill Clinton looked at it and he said that Chinese efforts to tamp down on it in order to hinder free speech would be tantamount to, he said, like stapling Jell-O to a wall. But we've seen how, in the case of the internet, there are tons of censorship controls now in place in China and a lot of other countries that you have in some form here, but don't always have here. Anyway, I view crypto like the internet, where it is this fully amoral thing. And with that amorality, what you have is this space that I think from the outside looking in, it is extraordinarily easy to be cynical about, because you do have scams like the hack that we spoke about yesterday, where somebody is literally just trying to scam people out of money by advertising a fake version of Trump's crypto token. You also have things like FTX, where it was like this unregulated thing, and people put money into it, and then it exploded and people lost their money. There's tons of crypto villains, and there's tons of negative things that happen in the industry. But there's also, if you want to take a political view to it, this is a political podcast. You have a lot of super libertarian people, particularly in the world of Bitcoin, who are like all about like free speech, anti-censorship, and so on and so forth. While you also have people on the left who kind of think of ways, like on the far left, you can kind of create these digital communes. You can literally create versions of socialism, on blockchains, universal basic income. You can do all of that stuff on crypto. So from the outside looking in, either you're cynical or it's too complicated. But the main thing that I would express, and then I'll talk about the Trump thing, is that there are tons of different, political, technical stripes going on in this world that just make it really fascinating to kind of look at. But I don't blame anybody for, getting overwhelmed by. But when it comes to Trump, where that all kind of folds in is, yes, it does make sense on a political end that Trump would embrace crypto, because a lot of, especially if you think of whatever, Trump's not certainly not a libertarian, but people who are libertarian will often vote for Trump, and Bitcoin is kind of associated with that sort of camp usually. And it makes sense that, people on the right who are in favor of Bitcoin would also embrace Trump, and that Trump would embrace them back. But a lot of those people are terrified about what Trump is doing, and they've sounded the alarm bells on Twitter. And I'm sure you'll see articles from us and other people about this. What Trump's done is he is certainly trying to appeal to this voter bloc that was responsible for, I think, more than half of all corporate donations in the 2024 election cycle with this project. But he might have done exactly the opposite. There's certain things here that a lot of people in crypto that would be conventionally on the right are kind of going to bristle at. One thing is that you have to, in order to buy his new token, or this project's new token, you have to, satisfy certain KYC, know your customer requirements, meaning you have to give over your government information. That's something that certain elements of the crypto world that also overlap with the Trump world that are super anti-government, anti-institutionalist, like those anti-establishment, those people do not like that idea. And that's something that you see in Trump's crypto project. Even a lot of Trump crypto people and anti-Trump crypto people are looking at this 70-30 divide, the fact that 70% is going to the team, and they're saying, hey, this looks like a cash grab. They're looking at the team and kind of their credentials. There are a lot of companies that are in the space that have been operating for now 5-10 years. Those are not the people that Trump's team has surrounded himself with. And you have people that are Trump supporters who are concerned about that side of this venture, afraid that, he or his sons are kind of being taken for a ride by, these people who are not very well known, to be clear, in the crypto industry. So it's not all a monolith, is I guess what I'm saying. It's not like all crypto supports Trump, and it's not like all crypto supports something like this. This is very complicated. And a lot of Trump's biggest supporters are the ones who are also the most concerned about this upcoming crypto venture.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming on to kind of walk me through, hold my hand through some of this stuff. I'm sure there are some of our listeners who are extremely knowledgeable about all of it and have been just kind of nodding thoughtfully along with everything you said and kind of shaking their heads at everything I've said. And I'm sure there are a lot for whom this stuff's all brand new. And thank you for helping them out too. Again, this has been Sam Kessler talking to me, Deputy Managing Editor for the crypto site CoinDesk. Thanks for coming on, Sam. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to you all for tuning in and listening to us. You can read a little bit more about some of this stuff in the Morning Shots newsletter I co-write with Bill Crystal every day. And you can get a lot more stuff here at the Bulwark YouTube today and every day. So thanks for tuning in. See you next time.